Helldivers 2 balance has been a hot topic since launch. Some of the changes have been great, and some of them have been, questionable. But even in spite of all the rants regarding balance, I think that the game is still amazingly fun to play and should only get better with the new direction Arrowhead seems to be taking. Assuming future patches follow suit, I think that the balance team finally has a sense of direction for how they want to balance the game. But I think there is still a lot of work to be done. Right now, it seems that Arrowhead wants to balance primary weapons around the Liberator, with most weapons having a couple upsides and downsides for how they compare. And I guess some people don't seem to like that, and frankly I don't really understand why. I actually think it's a great idea for any shooter game to be balanced around jack-of-all-trades assault rifles, as they are consistently lethal at short, medium, and long-range engagements. Other weapon archetypes might be a little bit more volatile depending on the range, making them less suitable to be a baseline. To me, it only makes sense to balance around the Liberator. That being said, and I say this as somebody who likes the Liberator in its current state, I think the Liberator, and all assault rifles in general, still need a little bit of love. Before we go any further, I just want to preface that these critiques come from somebody that mainly plays Helldivers 2 in a duo or solo on difficulty 9. I do not claim to be a great player, or even a good player for that matter, but I do have a decent amount of experience in the game. These balance suggestions are mostly catered to bug play, with some exceptions. It's not that I can't do difficulty 9 bot missions, but I haven't experimented too much on the bot front beyond the autocannon, sickle, and counter sniper against them. These are just my opinions, and I want this video to be a discussion piece more than anything. I want to hear what you guys think, whether you have different ideas, or maybe you think I'm full of it. All discussion is welcome. Without further ado, let's get into it. In the Viper Commandos patch, Arrowhead attempted to buff the assault rifles in a way that would emulate the power each round would have in real life by increasing their durable damage. The idea itself makes sense, big round, do big damage to big body part, but in practice I didn't really find the change to do too much. I won't go into super specifics, but I can provide one example of a relevant matchup to back up that claim. If you want to learn more about how damage is calculated, I highly recommend that you check out Eravin's video linked down below. It explains how durable modifiers work, how armor affects damage, and other strange ways damage is calculated in this game. Long story short, the durable damage increases made it so that the Liberator takes 3 less bullets from 16 to 13 to pop a Brood Commander head. It's not that it's nothing, but it isn't exactly making the matchup that much better after the change. Not only that, but only increasing durable damage doesn't actually help with taking out other trash. I suggest that along with the durable damage increases, assault rifles would greatly benefit from a base damage increase as well. But how much? Well, let's start with the base Liberator, a weapon that I think should be plenty viable at all difficulties, and the definitive baseline for how weapons should be balanced. The Liberator isn't just a basic assault rifle, it's also the very first primary that players will have access to. It should set the tone for how well the rest of the guns will fare. The way it is now, it's a jack-of-all-trades solution for clearing unarmored chaff at any distance. I think we can keep that identity by decreasing the time to kill a couple of those chaff enemies. Increasing the baseline damage to 85 will help a couple of breakpoints. This should allow the Liberator to more consistently 3-shot body shot hunters, 1-shot body shot scavengers, and 3-shot body shot warriors. 4 shots with a little bit of fall off. While that doesn't sound like a lot, I think saving a bullet here and there will do wonders for how the gun actually feels to shoot, while also increasing the total amount of things you can kill per mag. In reference to the Brood Commander breakpoint, it becomes 9 shots. Still decently long, but more forgiving than 13. Beyond that, I don't think the Liberator would need anything else. Since I unlocked the gun, I've been a professional hater of the Liberator Penetrator, so much so that you'll notice that I didn't even want to use it in the background gameplay. At the moment, I think the Adjudicator is pretty close to what the Liberator Penetrator should actually be. For most players, the Liberator Penetrator is their first experience with a medium penetration weapon, so I believe it should be functionally the same as the classic with medium pen, 15 less bullets per mag, and just 1 more total magazine. Everything else should be pretty much the same, with maybe a little bit more recoil like now. With this iteration of the Penetrator, you'd be trading a third of your mag size for significantly better matchups against targets with light and medium armor, which I think is a fair trade. This will allow the weapon to fill the niche of the basic medium penetration weapon. The way Arrowhead balanced the Adjudicator continues to baffle me. For a studio that seems to want their guns to fill a specific niche, they buffed the Adjudicator in a way that it's functionally better than the Liberator Penetrator, and I think that's kind of sad. Both guns have the potential to be viable while not directly competing with each other. That said, I believe the Adjudicator should be changed back to a marksman rifle, lose 5 bullets per mag, along with 1 magazine, but with the trade-off of dealing a staggering 145 damage per shot. I believe that these stats should let the Adjudicator shine as the bastard son of what the Liberator Penetrator and Counter Sniper should be, and fill the role of a battle rifle. This iteration of the Adjudicator would encourage users to prioritize heavier threats due to its lower magazine size, while still allowing players to clear chaff with automatic fire if push comes to shove. Some of you might be thinking that this change would invalidate the Diligence and Counter Sniper, and you'd be correct. But I think both of those marksman rifles still need further tuning as well, and I don't really want to go into that in this video. I think the idea of the Tenderizer is actually pretty good, and the gun feels pretty solid now after the changes. But with my suggested changes to the base damage of the Liberator, the Tenderizer should also get a bump in damage to further differentiate it. I think the Tenderizer should be the only assault rifle that can reach the coveted breakpoint of one-tapping a Devastator head. But it should only be able to do that at closer ranges so it doesn't step on the toes of the marksman rifles. I think the Tenderizer should deal 130 damage, just barely enough to reach the Devastator breakpoint with a small amount of falloff. Other notable breakpoints are taking 1 shot to pop a warrior head, consistently 2-shot body-shotting hunters, and taking 6 shots to pop a brute commander head. With this iteration of the Tenderizer, I think players will be given the option to trade some of their mag size for superior handling and firepower if they want to continue using a light penetration automatic weapon. The Liberator Concussive should be a weapon for players that are comfortable trading a little bit of their damage for utility and CC. Right now, I do believe the Liberator Concussive has a very small niche of keeping targets stuck underneath lingering damage stratagems, such as Barrage, Gas, Napalm, or any of the turrets. But I think the trade in fire rate and mag size is far too harsh for the utility the gun actually provides. Giving the Concussive the same baseline magazine size of 45 with a rate of fire of 500 RPM while keeping the damage capped at 65 would buff the Concussive twofold. This way, the Concussive will perform even better at its niche of staggering and locking down enemies, but it would also make it so that players don't feel like they're handicapping themselves as much when their stratagems are on cooldown. The Carbine is the most recent addition to the assault rifle category. At the moment, it really is just the Liberator with a faster fire rate and a tiny bit more recoil. The biggest problem that I have with it right now is that I tend to overshoot enemies due to its crazy fire rate, which is admittedly a skill issue. I think it's fine to mostly leave it as it is, with the same suggested Liberator damage increases, but I think we can go a little bit further to actually cement its identity as the definitive close-range Liberator variant by simply adding a bayonet to the end of the barrel. Not only would it look awesome, but it would also increase melee damage and range a tiny bit. If it did maybe 150 damage at a base, it would allow us to guarantee a 2-shot on Hunters and Warriors, and guarantee a 1-shot on Hunters with the Peak Physique passive. This would be a perfect choice for players wanting to use an assault rifle, but aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Although it's not listed as an assault rifle, I feel like this video wouldn't be complete without the Sickle. Right now, I think the Sickle is a good weapon. If you take it over the Liberator, you're trading some upfront damage due to the spool-up time for increased fire time, better handling, and potential for infinite ammo. Depending on how the assault rifles would feel after the changes, I think the Sickle could use a very slight buff of 5 extra damage to make it comparable to the damage of the current Liberator. Other than that, I think the Sickle would still be a fantastic choice for both fronts. Overall, I think these changes would help solidify certain niches that each assault rifle could fill, while also raising the baseline that all weapons could be balanced around. I can't imagine that any of these changes would make anything overpowered, as the baseline for these damage values came from feeling out how the Adjudicator is right now. Players will still need to use stratagems to efficiently clear chaff and heavies, but the guns would feel more punchy and responsive with a general increase of firepower. But that's enough of what I think. How do you guys feel? Do you think that these changes would be healthy for the game? Do you think that ARs need more? Let me know. I've always loved hearing what people have to think. Thank you for watching.